right, I was able to find it. Good. Let's go. I'm going to teach you guys a little something today. All right, folks, welcome to Inside the Numbers with the People's Pundit. I'm your host, Rich Barris, the People's Pundit. Don't forget to like the videos if you like them and share them far and wide. Thought it was going to be a lot later than this today. Not bad, a couple of minutes, so we'll go a couple of minutes over. All right, links to the public polling project are in the description below. That's how we deliver the crosstabs that I'm going to show you through today's show. All right, this way, if it's publicly funded, I don't get paid by Yahoo News, CBS News, or any of the others. So if you appreciate what we do, share, support, you know the deal. Okay, so I'm picking this trend for a reason because, of course, I am the one who had to deal with the backlash when we identified this trend before the 2024 election. And as I will soon show you, some pollsters never even picked up on this trend. Okay. I did a little tweet the other day where it's just being a wise ass, but it was making a point. And it was left-leaning or leftist critics before the 24 election basically said to me, Trump is not doing that well with young voters. Your polls are fake. Okay. My reaction, of course, was to roll my eyes and say, we'll see. Trump, of course, did very well with young voters, 18 to 29 specifically. In some battleground states like Michigan and across other states in the Midwest, from Iowa to Ohio, he even won them, especially young men, 18 to 29. And he did so with another trend that we identified, which, of course, was doing well with younger non-white voters. Apparently, even in some cases, better than we expected him to do, such as in the case of Florida, where he won so many of them that in our unprecedented Trump plus 11 poll, he outperformed it by 2 points because it was almost exclusively due to the amount of young non-white voters that he won in Miami, which we did not pick up on. Well, we did pick up on them voting for him, just not by such large numbers. Okay. So in the end, Trump actually won the state by 13 due to the fact that he won Miami by nearly double the margin that we expected or projected him to win it by. And that's fine with me, considering we were the first and the only one to show that he would win the county of Miami. All right. So now here we are. Fast forward. And for the last couple of weeks, I've obviously, people have said I've been a critic, blah, blah, blah. Listen, I'm a truth teller. And that's the point of the second part of the tweet that I was just referring to. If you are an honest pollster, it is with a 100% degree certainty that you will be attacked 100% of the time by at least or approximately 50% of the country. Do you understand what I'm saying there? The right will like it when your polls affirm their views. The left will like it when your polls affirm their views. I'm simply trying to project actual views. It's on other people who sometimes like or dislike what they're hearing at the time. That's not on me. That's on them. I am not here to affirm your personal beliefs. Most people, sadly, are not interested in introspection or reflection. They want to be told that everything is going to be okay, and that's it. They want to be told information that helps the world that they see through their own lenses, which are always, of course, colored by their experiences and their views and their ideologies. They want someone to give them information that will make that world make sense to them. They don't, not everyone, of course. I'm a freaking pollster. My job is to generalize. But in general, while there are some people who are interested in the facts, and that's how I've grown my audience over the years, there are others who are not. So now here we are, fast forward, 6 months after the Trump presidency, and I put out polls, and the right now is the critic. And the right is, Trump's not doing that bad with young voters. Well, my response to them is the same as my response to the left-wing critics before the election. Eye roll. We'll see. Here is, because the problem is you guys want to stick your heads in the sand instead of listening to people who have honest criticisms. And by the way, they're right. Instead of trying to course correct and fix it while you still can. You can sit there like a clapping seal and, like, I don't know, I think with Thelma and Louise held hands right off the effing cliff. All right. So, honestly, and I told him I would steal this analogy from him, but I saw something from David Gilio the other day, and it was perfect. He wrote this, and you know what, David, I'm going to take it and put it on Twitter if you don't mind. I don't know if you're watching the show or not, but I'm actually going to take it. Okay. And then I'll have to go back and put, because I had the polls queued up, but I want to show people it because I think it's right on the money. Let me just make sure I'm not sharing anybody's personal information. I am not. Okay. And then he came back with a quib that's even better. All right. So here's what David said on Twitter the other day, which is absolutely correct. This isn't being panicking. This is panicking. This is trying to help while there's still time. Ignoring this and pretending everything is fine is like being on the Titanic, seeing the iceberg and saying, I'll just stay quiet because everything is going well and I'm sure the crew will notice. Right. Exactly. For the record, that's what a lot of people did the first Trump administration. The crew did not notice. The crew, actually, many of them were in open sabotage. I'm not saying that that's the case right now, but I am saying that there is definitely a problem. And if you're a Trump supporter, you want someone to tell you what it is because you want them to do two things: give you information that can lead you to course correcting so you can fix it, and to have all the facts instead of just looking like a conspiracy dismissalist, right? When the media does what the media inevitably does. So here's the CBS CBS YouGov poll. They're not alone. Quinnipiac did it too. And this big headline is like these massive swings away from Donald Trump with young voters. I hope you guys really pay attention to what I'm going to say in the next 45 minutes, because now we're a little bit more. Let's just roughly call it an hour. So you can understand why the bury your head in the sand routine is actually very harmful. This is a textbook media tactic. I understand, and that's part of the thing with new movements. There's a lot of new people. Well, the downside to that, and there is downside, is that there's a lot of inexperienced, naive people who don't know how the game is played. They don't know, like Rush Limbaugh used to say, how to spot the drive-by media before they do the drive-by. Like, if you've been around for as long as some of us have been around, you don't have to spot it. You already know what they're going to do when you see a vulnerability, okay? When you give them the opening, you'll know a week before they do it, right? So that was the beauty of Rush, by the way. Not only to do that himself, day in and day out, 3 hours a day on radio, the master of it, but to also teach others how to see it too. I would argue the loss of Rush Limbaugh was a great blow to the right, because I believe if Rush was here right now, Rush would be saying, are we really about to do the same dumb shit we did during the first Trump administration? Shut your stupid mouths and listen to people. That's what he would say. All right, moving on. Here is what we would expect, 100% of expected from the media. What they're doing here is Trump's approval trend among, and this is not Dave over at Interactive. I'm just saying, obviously Dave knows what the damn headline on CBS is. It's not he himself. I'm not saying he's the media, but this is what they are all doing. And it's absurd. But just because what they're doing is absurd doesn't mean they're not tugging on something, because I'm going to tell you exactly who else they did this with in the first Trump administration, when people like me were raising the red flag and everybody said, shut up, everything's going well. Early February, among 18 to 29-year-olds, approved 55, disapprove 45. In other words, Trump was plus +10 approve among 18 to 29-year-olds in the CBS YouGov poll. Now, July, fast forward. Approve 28%, a 30-point dive damn near, right? Disapprove 72, right? For obviously a massive net swing from +10 to -44. So all in all, a net 54% swing among 18 to 29-year-olds against Donald Trump since he took office in the YouGov poll. Now, you guys know Robert Barnes and I just did a whole show on this. You might notice some very, very interesting stuff. Hispanics were 51-49 approve. Disapprove +2. 33% of black voters in this poll back in February were approved. 67% disapprove. Whites were up to 61. Independents were still disapprove +2. Obviously, the big difference here is that the Republican sample was significant. All right. So you can also see, by the way, 4-year degrees was only disapprove +2, and then no degree was approved 68, disapprove 32. There are 2 age groups, and I'm going to blow my nose here in a second while the screen's up and you won't know. There are 2 age groups that Barnes and I spent Monday talking about: the younger voter and the non-college versus the college voter. The concept is these 4-year degrees or higher are fair weather approvers, fair weather friends. They will disappear on Donald Trump like we have seen them do in the past, leaving only a very degraded support among those who have no college degree. Excuse me. All right. Same thing with younger voters. You need Trump's new young vote to become more engaged, not only for 26, but beyond. Everyone keeps throwing up these registration numbers, many of which I see are not true. I have a voter file license like nobody else that I know does. You have to wait for the Secretary of State. I do not. Okay, so we get bi-weekly updates and we are ahead of the game, and we can tell you there is a lot of BS information running around, but it doesn't mean that Republicans aren't making gains everywhere. They are. But voter registration is only one part of the battle. You have to get these people to vote. And even with the massive gains that Republicans have been making in basically everywhere around the country, not having an approval rating that's -20, -20, whatever in different polls is not good. All right, fast forward here. Here's their other poll, and you can see the difference. Now Hispanic is 68-32 disapprove. Black is 85-15 disapprove. White is 50-50. And as you can see, under 30, 72-28 in favor of disapprove. You can also see that it's still a larger Republican sample than a Democrat. However, the big difference, as you can see right there, is that they stuffed the sample with independents. Because independents now, all right, where is it? Because independents are now 68-32, which is freaking ludicrous. That's just ludicrous, but whatever. Because they are 68-32, and if you weight the sample of independents higher, which they clearly did, you see what I'm saying, guys? Look at the percentages, the differences. There were more Republicans in this sample than there are in any other independent, Democrat, whatever. That is not true of this new poll. All right, you can clearly see there are more independents. So they stuffed, look, some things overlap, and it is what it is. But I don't actually think, maybe I'm being too generous to YouGov, is what I'm going to say here. But I'm going to show you something that should give everybody pause. The question, anytime somebody tries to come out and claim to be an authority, the question should always be, well, how did that pollster do, right? How did that pollster do in the prior election? Was YouGov even effective at identifying the trends with young voters? And I'm not here to explain away that Donald Trump is falling with 18 to 29-year-olds. He is. He has lost considerable ground. I'm just going to show you what the real number is instead of exacerbating it, or, as the banner says, exaggerating it like we have seen now with CBS, like YouGov, Quinnipiac, and others have and will continue to do. How do I know they're exaggerating? Or how could I even make that claim? Well, the fact of the matter is, they didn't pick up on that trend in 2004, ladies and gentlemen. Here's their final poll for CBS News, October 23rd to October 25th. Registered voters, not likely voters. And to be fair, the other one's an adult sample, but it doesn't matter because we've showed you in our polling, especially leading up until the election, we showed you all registered voters, unlikely voters, and likely voters. We showed you 3 surveyed populations. And you know that while there is a difference, it does not explain this. If you look here on what we call the generic third party, first of all, I have always been very skeptical of polls that add not sure and I would not vote as options in addition to someone else third party and then the candidates. And it's only supposed to be a registered voter poll. And yet there's 0% who chose out of 2,000, a supposed 2,154 interviews, ladies and gentlemen. Nobody, 0, rounded to 0, chose I would not vote or not sure. Only 1% chose third party. Let me just say this as clear as I possibly can. Bullshit. That is not how statistics works. And that's not how surveys work. You are not going to have that large of a sample and have 0 choose that as an answer. But I want to draw your attention anyway. The point is under 30. What's under 30? 18 to 29. Kamala Harris, 61% to 38%. Well, of course, that did not happen. They had Kamala Harris winning this election, winning the popular vote, by the way, by 1 point. They had Harris winning independents. They had Harris winning more of the Republican vote than Donald Trump won of the Democratic vote. Didn't happen. They did get Donald Trump's black vote share pretty much accurate. He won a little bit. He won more than that. The voter validated surveys suggest he did win more than that. And the Hispanic vote share, they grossly underestimated Donald Trump with Hispanics. And honestly, this is why I don't know how they have no other category for other or Asian with 2,154. It's ridiculous. It's totally ridiculous. You can see here, though, with white by education that she was in deep trouble. Now, again, we went over this last week and a half. Republicans have done similar margins themselves in 22, which is a real problem for them going into 26, and why people who are, just dismissing things that people like myself and others are saying, they're stupid. They just don't know what they're talking about. The difference is Donald Trump gets more of them out, and he will need to get them out for his fellow Republicans if they wish to even try to have a prayer to keep the House of Representatives. And by the way, Susan Collins is going to retire. All right. Lisa Murkowski is out, and Susan Collins is on the verge of retiring. Lisa Murkowski will announce after the election that she is caucusing with Democrats, and she will claim to be an independent. Along with Susan Collins leaving, which I have heard now from multiple people, Republicans have basically tied up the Senate majority. Very close. With what's not on the table in 26. So they basically need to damn near run the table, including in North Carolina, in order to keep or have a prayer. Because Collins, if she goes, they cannot win that seat. They're not Trumpy enough yet. They're too busy clapping like seals to listen to people. They're not Trumpy enough. Right now, the perception by the voter of Donald Trump and what's going on in Washington with Republicans is that Donald Trump is getting too establishment and the party is not getting more like Donald Trump. That is the clearest way that I can say this. He's not focusing enough on immigrants. He's not focusing enough on inflation. He's not focusing enough on the economy. He's too busy bombing Iran. He's too busy, making fun of his supporters over Epstein. It doesn't matter what your opinion is. It only matters with these voters. If you're a Trump supporter and you're like, this is bullshit, doesn't matter what you think. You're a Trump voter and you're going to vote for Trump no matter what. Guess what? He can't win with just you. Republicans can't win with just you. In fact, we know that because we just had an election 6 months ago and they didn't. He outran them. Even on the ballot, they failed to take the very districts, and in some cases states, that they will have to win this time around. All right. And gee, I wonder how willing some of these third-party groups who have been attacked for asking simple questions, who went out and carried all of these ballots and gathered all of these signatures, because Republicans will need an early ground game. Otherwise, they'll be cooked, because these voters are not going to come out organically. They're not going to come out naturally just because you want them to, or because, like so many of I hear people say, oh, yeah, right, they're just not, they're going to let Democrats take power. Yes, they will. And in fact, we've seen this. I've been down this road before. Only the groups back then were white working class. During the first Trump administration, it was white working class, and it was educated suburban women. If you go back and you look at the performance in 2016, the media greatly exaggerated how Donald Trump would, how poorly, I should say, Donald Trump would perform among educated white women. They then launched what was the largest social bias campaign, from Netflix and the media entertainment industry to the cover of the New York Times. Incessant, over and over and over, dog whistle, dog whistle, dog whistle. If you're a white woman, you're stupid if you support Donald Trump. If you're a suburban white woman, you're stupid if you support Donald Trump, especially if you're in a neighborhood like this kind of neighborhood. If you're educated, if you support obviously the implication, right, is that if you were a woman in the suburbs, Hillary Clinton said you were too dumb to vote for yourself. Now you have to vote and you have to take your power back away from your husband, right? It was the biggest social bias campaign I had ever seen. And because Republicans were too busy going, la, 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 it worked. It worked. All right. So here we are now, and the groups are just different. And oh, by the way, the white working class did become a problem. Sherrod Brown beat Jim Renacci in Ohio. And I can go on and on. 300,000 alone in the state of Minnesota just decided, I'm going to sit this out. Republicans got annihilated. Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania. How have Republicans been doing in the Rust Belt states without Donald Trump on the ballot? Right. In fact, even with him on the ballot, Eric Hova couldn't win. Mike Rogers couldn't win. McCormick only got drug across the finish line, kicking and screaming. And there were some local issues. We brought this up on What Are the Odds on Monday, but I didn't have time to bring up Robert was talking about something else, but I tried to sneak it in there. Just read a study about increased turnout among Amish and Mennonite voters in Pennsylvania. And they literally cited the Amos Miller case. So Dave McCormick won because I told Sean Parnell to get off his ass and dress Amos Miller. I mean, not because of that. It's like only because of that, but Trump did. He did get them. He did speak about this stuff. He brought it up in different campaign stops that he went to. He called local people and gave people supportive statements. Like, he did that. McCormick was like, dur, 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 until Sean Parnell said, wake up, dude. Wake up. So anyway, we can't do much about the suburban white woman issue now. It is what it is. And in fact, Donald Trump did do better with women and men with college degrees in 2024. In fact, so did Republicans. But on these other groups, particularly those who are younger and don't have a college degree yet, or maybe didn't go to an Ivy League bougie school, they left the rest of the ticket blank. A lot. Some of them in the Mid-Atlantic, for instance, from somebody like a district like in Pennsylvania, for instance, in southeastern Pennsylvania. Some of them may have actually voted for the Democratic candidate instead. all the way to New York, Little Egg Harbor, you name it. All right. Mark Molinaro, great example. All right, so this is how they exaggerated. I want to show you the two subgroups that we use when we're talking about 18 to 29-year-olds, which I think in part, there's two things you should know. One reason why I do think, yes, they do it on purpose, or at least they don't give a shit. And so like it serves their purpose, so they don't care to fix it. So maybe some of it's just like intention by omission or intention by lack of correction, so but there is an intent there, and I submit that is true. I see that point to you guys. All right, how I feel about pollsters now. If they really wanted to be right, they would listen to the people who have been getting things right, and they would correct and adjust accordingly, but they haven't. So at least in part, we know that it's intentional propaganda, right? Just based on that alone, right? However, I do think that there are some, I don't want to say honest, but there are some explanations for how they could screw this up and exacerbate it on accident even, or exaggerate it more so than they even realize they are doing it. And then I think that the crosstab that we just looked at, really what should have jumped out at you is that they also grossly understated Donald Trump's share with Hispanics. Why? Because the younger the Hispanic, the more likely they were to vote for Donald Trump. All right. So again, that should show you they're very, very bad at polling young people, especially young people of color, especially young people of color without a college degree. Although I want to point out that our polling, in fact, was right. Speaking of Sean Parnell, I remember multiple episodes leading up to the election when we did Savage Wednesdays, where I would bring up on the show that one thing that really was always standing out to me is the lack of significant difference in the vote margins between black voters who had no college degree and black voters who had a college degree. They're not like white people. They don't separate themselves like I'm better than you and I'm bougie, right? They don't. They had the same vote preference. Should tell you something. All right. Anyway, here's what I shared with locals the other day when Robert and I were on the screen. And the reason I'm bringing this up is so you can see the very same voters that we are in fact speaking to did in fact change their mind. It's just, we're not talking about huge shifts like these people would like you to believe. If you look, and there's a huge difference in general, especially among white young voters. Okay, give me 1 second. Jeez, it's 2:35 already. Yeah, maybe I should take it. Okay. She right. All right, let me take the break before we go over this. Crosstab is going to take time to dig into. So let me take the break now, and we'll absolutely go over it. I mean, I'll give you a little bit of a sneak peek, which is that there are subgroups within age groups. And if you do not accurately represent those subgroups, you could grossly understate or overstate someone's support among the greater group. All right. Stay tuned, then I'll explain it more. You're watching Inside the Numbers with the People's Pundit. I'm your host, Rich Barris, People's Pundit. Don't forget to like the videos if you like them and share them far and wide. The link to our sponsor who's coming up and the Public Polling Project are in the description below. Support them if you support the show. All right, I'm going to take a 30-second countdown break, and then we'll get into it, and we'll do a little word from our sponsors. Then back into the crosstab. We'll be back. All right, we're back super quick. Let's be honest, folks. Most coffee gives you a quick hit. Then it leaves you jittery, foggy, and reaching for another cup before lunch. But what if your coffee actually did something for your health? Rejuvenate Coffee is science-backed coffee, real Arabic beans infused with CK-AKG. It's a compound shown to support cellular energy, metabolism, and even healthy aging. I'm graying out, folks. This stuff is singing to me. It's not a gimmick. It's not trendy. It's built for people who take their health seriously, who want to show up with focus and strength every single day. If you care about how you feel and how you'll feel 10 years from now, this is your coffee. And aside from that, it's freaking delicious. Go to 1775coffee.com/TPP and order the Rejuvenate coffee today. It's fuel your body, protect your future, and rejuvenate. 1775coffee.com/TPP if you want to get the deal for People's Pundit listeners. 15% off, folks. I love 1775 coffee. I do. And I can't reach for a second cup in the afternoon. I'm not allowed. So it's either get it right the first time or that's it. All right. So it's a pretty big deal for me. And if it is for you, you should try it as well. All right. Let's bang this back on the screen, shall we? As you will notice, 18 to 29 in our polling is broken out. Of course, you can have just age, straight up age, right? And actually, maybe I should put that in there for you guys so you can see both. Go to crosstabs. Yeah, let me do this. Give me a second and I'll just refresh it real quick. Here's age nested by education and detail. Right. So let me just throw in the survey demographic. Where are you? Age. Actually, I'm going to do this for you. Stop. Kill that one. Pop this one on the screen. Let's go to my back end so you can see what I see, of course. All right. Instead of me just talking about it, here's the back end, how I build crosstabs. Pretty cool. All right. So I made this crosstab just for you guys to be able to see this and single this out of all the other noise. I put the 2024 presidential vote in there so you could see the recalled vote. Again, there's nothing wrong with this recalled vote at all. It's pretty much flawless. Donald Trump 50.2, Kamala Harris 45.4. For the Democrats out there who are going to bitch and bitch and bitch that I understated Kamala Harris's share, that is not me understating Kamala Harris's share. That is about 3% refusing to admit that they voted for your candidate because she was a shitty candidate. No one wants to admit they voted for her. Okay? Sorry. Burn. She was an awful candidate. Everyone knows. Kamala Harris spent more time on her knees than in the Oval Office, and nobody wants to admit they voted for somebody like that. Moving on. Age. We also have age specific. Let's take age, stick it up here. It wants to be a pain in the butt, so let me drag this down. And college versus non-college. There we go. Now I'm going to go ahead and save it. Now I'm going to close the editor so we can just do what we're doing. All right. This is how YouGov reports it. You see that? 18 to 29. Kamala Harris, 50.6. Donald Trump, 44.5. In fact, man, give me a second. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. This is basically flawless. Oh, this is basically flawless. So according to the voter validated surveys, you're looking at 58 to 40. According to the CNN exit polls, you're looking at... It's like flawless. It's going to be flawless. 54 to 43. So it's like right on the money. Okay. There's nothing wrong with this at all. And curious, actually, 2024 Fox News voter analysis. I'm giving you 3 different measures, even though I tend to favor the voter validated surveys. It's not, Pew is not perfect, and the census as well. I'll give you that one. Yeah, let me give you that one. 2024 election voting and registration tables, how Americans voted, USA Facts. Now let's just go to this one. Could go to Statista and make my life easy. I don't know why I'm not. 18 to 29, Harris was 51, Trump 47. If you look at the Fox News voter analysis, voting and registration. I don't want to pull down all these giant data sets. Let me make sure that I'm not going to do that. Questions on voting supplement of the population survey. I guess we could do that one. How Americans voted in 2024. Okay, 18 to 24. Oh, this is turnout. That's turnout. That's not, yeah, we don't care about that. All right. I mean, we care. We just don't care for the purpose of right now, obviously. All right. And as you can see in both the voter validated surveys and the census, if you go through it, you will see an infusion of new 18 to 29-year-old voters, which is very, very important because, of course, they move the margin. It's not just that there were defectors from 2020 who then in turn voted for Donald Trump, or there were new people who were of age and eligible to vote. That's not only what happened. For instance, Donald Trump got a 25-year-old Hispanic woman in South Florida to vote for the first time, and she voted for Donald Trump. He got a 27-year-old male in Macomb County, Michigan, to vote for the first time, and he voted for Donald Trump. He got a 28-year-old black male in the urban areas of Philadelphia outside of the Italian wards to vote for the first time, and that guy voted for Donald Trump. All right, so then that, of course, impacts the margin. Kamala Harris did very poorly with black voters in Pennsylvania last year. All right, so the bottom line is you can see the recalled vote. For everybody's like, these are biased polls. I mean, even people on the right calling us biased. It's just unbelievable. You can see that these people admit to voting for Donald Trump. 18 to 29 overall is now 22% approve, which 22%, strongly approve. You're looking at roughly low 40s with the with an approval rating, and in the mid 50s with his disapproval rating, low to mid 50s, about 53%. All right, if we're being generous to Donald Trump, about 53. All right, so he's underwater, and that is, of course, a little bit less of a vote share, a little bit less approval than he got in his vote share. When you split them up, however, two things can happen. One is 18, if your sample size is large enough, and you can do this, with the caveat that sampling errors for subgroups are larger. When you split them up like the exit polls and the voter validated surveys, and this is why we do it with these brackets, because we're remaining consistent. We want to be like standard with exit polls to help everybody else understand, to help us understand more correctly, as opposed to just doing like 18 to 34 or something, right? Which is what a lot of pollsters do. That's not good enough for us. And here's why. Two things. One is when you break it down and you can provide age detail, 18 to 24, 25 to 29. Those are two subgroups that make up 18 to 29. One is you can identify which of those blocks is either giving more support or giving more opposition, which one has moved toward, which one has moved against, especially since you're also looking at the recalled vote. All right. You can identify which has really fallen. And from here, we can see that it is 18 to 24. It's more specific when you look by college education, for instance. All right. Where are you? By college education. Let's just do this. Non-college. Oh, did I mess that up? I did. Whoops. My bad, guys. Age detail. And then I want to stick age in with non-college, right? Yes. But I want college to go first because it makes it easier. Let me just make sure I'm right about that. Yes. So now it splits it up. Non-college to the left, college to the right. It's easier as opposed to doing age detail first. You'll see what happens when that happens. Watch. It's just a little bit more cluttered. Now we have every age group and then college, non-college, college, non-college, college, non-college. It makes it more difficult to read. It's more congested, right? Now we have it simply college, non-college with age detail. You can go back and you can see that obviously 18 to 24-year-olds who had a college degree, in fact, 25 to 29-year-olds who had a college degree, voted for Kamala Harris in larger percentages. If you're YouGov and your sample size is not big enough, and I'm not saying it isn't, 2,000 something responses. Ours here with those who've recalled vote was 2,696 interviews. The whole poll, of course, is 3,022. But of those who voted in 2024, it's 2,696. YouGov had enough here to do this. They chose not to. I personally don't like the sample size they have. I think they could go a little higher because if you're going to do 2,000, then your recalled vote's only going to be like 1,800. So you're just getting lower and lower. But when you break it down like this, you can see that obviously there is more non-college than there is college. That is correct. That is the way it's supposed to be. I can guarantee you, folks, I guarantee that if we were to open up the YouGov data set and look and see what they did, you would see that their college, which I'm highlighting here, is disproportionately represented, inaccurately represented, versus those who do not have a college degree. Also, I am willing to, and I'm not a betting man, I'm willing to bet the farm that it is probably too white. Too white and too educated. Now, I could be wrong about that. However, the reason I'm guessing that, or I'm making an educated guess, I'm making a little theory here, an educated theory, is because of how poorly they have been able to track Hispanic vote share for Donald Trump. So not only, in my mind, is it most likely too white and too educated, but it's also most likely the case that perhaps with whatever younger African-American voters they polled, they're not as far off as they are with those who are self-identified Hispanics. All right. So this can be, I mean, you shouldn't have to weight it, guys, to make it work. It should work. Like, I always struggle to explain things to everybody without giving away things I don't want other pollsters to know how it's done. But if done correctly, you should see a roughly 60-40, 65-35 split over even more, even with some of these age groups more, favoring non-college over college. All right. And you should also see, it's possible that month, for instance, 25 to 29s were a little bit too pro-Harris or something, you know. We won't know because they didn't split it up. But if you did, you would see maybe 18 to 24s are too Harris, or 25 to 29s are too Harris. And instead of them being, I don't know, 8 and 7% or 9 and 7%, perhaps the 18 to 24 is too pro-Harris. And it's like 8% of the total 12%, and the 25 to 29 is like 3 or 4%. So it's not accurately represented. And the reason why I say you shouldn't have to wait for it is because if things are accurately represented, you shouldn't have to apply heavy weights like that, where you start to begin to nest individual subgroups, which, by the way, there's valid reasons to do, and we do as well. I'm just not getting into it because everybody can kiss my butt, and all the pollsters who can't poll listening to the show later, you figure it out on your own, you know. But the audience, I think you guys are smart enough to know now, if you've been watching me for a while, what I'm talking about. All right. Very much the same thing, by the way, with party. You really should not have to wait for party. I mean, how would you know how to wait? It's an identification. It's not registration. They're not the same thing. All right. So there's that. So there's two reasons why you would do it. One, to make sure that you can identify what's what with each of these different groups within a greater subgroup of your overall population that you're surveying. And then the second reason you would do it is, of course, to make sure that each of those subgroups within a greater subgroup is represented correctly. Another gross example of this would be, like, let's say YouGov, for instance. They only have white, black, Hispanic demographic groups. That's all they ever show. All right. And I'm sorry, I'm going to kill that. That's all they ever show. There's no other, there's no Asian, right? So they're not putting it in there. So you would never know how they calculate or what group is weighted to what, or even represented. Let's say within a 5% of the overall sample is Asian other. Should be like 6, 5%, right? Then it can be stickler. Sometimes ours is as low as like 4.5, 5, but let's say 5. Asian should definitely be roughly 3% of that overall 5%. Native Americans, Pacific Islanders, other groups like that we specifically do ask in the poll, are only going to come out like 0.5, 1.3, right? If you don't do what I'm saying, it's very easy to screw up that Asian other group with vote preference or even disapproval. If, for instance, your Asian share of that is like 4.88 and the other two are combined 1.8, right? So again, you with a pollster like YouGov, you don't know. We don't know because they don't even publish that information. You're left to guess. It's kind of crazy. All right. So, and again, you see them absolutely cratering when it comes to Trump's approval rating with some of these key groups. And I'm not saying that it's not declining. It is. What I'm saying is, how would they know how would they know by how much it's declining enough to, with certainty, to go print headlines and to go share it all over social media if you were incapable of identifying the vote trend to Trump in the first place? It's like somebody who didn't have any knowledge or see something coming with a certain event is now going to tell you how that event is going to impact things going forward. Well, how the hell would you know? You have not proven yourself capable of seeing that in the first place. So you're certainly not an expert on it or an authority on it. All right. So, by the way, again, look at Hispanics. You see the same thing. Same darn thing. All right. So let me get to, I mean, I could check. Give me a second. No, go ahead. All right. Yeah. With the next couple of minutes, let me say something else here. All right. Give me a second. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Collins isn't retiring because there's no money in retirement. Jeffrey says, I'm telling you, this is not the first time we've heard this. And her and Markowski are very good friends, or at least, they're peas in a pod. I don't know if we'd call anybody good friends over there, but I don't see them continuing this how could I put this on? Everyone is like, pretend like I'm in Susan Collins's head, but it would be very difficult for them to continue with the relationship they have if Lisa Murkowski moves over. And she has been thinking about the next chapter for a while. So you're going to see her retire before you see John Fetterman, a Republican. I'll tell you that. It's multiple people now know this. And Lisa Murkowski also she's not retiring. She's just going to, for people, I see you're behind 31 minutes. Lisa Murkowski is just changing parties, especially, and this is the stuff that pisses me off. She's so vindictive, especially if Republicans need her seat. To pass legislation. This is who this woman is. This is who these people are. It's like John McCain. Guy is dying. And he flies back to DC just to sabotage the Obamacare repeal bill. After 7 years on the campaign trail, 2 primary challenges, one that could have did him dirty, during which he claimed that not only would he repeal and replace Obamacare, that he was the champion of it in the U.S. Senate. It's just vindictive. They're small people. They're very little, and you wonder why our country cannot solve the big challenges of our day. It's because the people who run, or I would say, the people who are in charge or have the power to at least solve those problems or start to solve those problems, are not big enough for those big challenges. They're tiny people. Sad, but it's true. All right. I'm going to have to do it to him. Bear with me. I got to find his tweet. Okay. And we love him. He's a great friend of the show. Great friend of the show. However, you know what? I'm just going to grab the nasty one. Give me a second. I'm going to go find the nasty one. Okay, there's one. Okay, this is it. Okay. No, that actually is not it. Hold on, there's another one. Okay, here it is. Here it is. Here it is. Here it is. I got it. This is him just mocking them, but whatever. It's in response. So, Mike Davis, Article 3 Project. Like I said, friend of the show, nice guy. Like him a lot. However, he's doing a kind of like, what was her name? Who used to John Solomon and go on Hannity a lot. And she would go on Hannity all through the Trump administration and promise. I mean, she did in the beginning. And then she got so bitter, she started saying nobody's ever going to face any consequences for this. What the hell was her name? Something Carter, right? I don't know, guys. Something Carter. I can't remember. Pretty girl, pretty woman. Somebody help me out here, locals. You know who I'm talking about. And the TikTok. And I don't mean the damn social media platform. I don't mean the short video platform. I mean TikTok, the count is counting down, the timer's on, and it's only a matter of time. Okay, so somebody had written Nick Dank memes, had put up a meme making fun of Pam Bondi, and it says, "We want handcuffs, Mike, and won't shut up until we see some." And the response to that was for this: "Love you guys. Stop barking at Pam. She's doing her job. This is why this crossfire hurricane evidence is going public, and more is coming. Justice is coming." In response to that, of course, you have a ton of Trump voters who went underneath and said, "We've heard this before. We have heard," first of all, a lot of this stuff that's coming out is not Pam Bondi. It's Tulsi Gabbard. But okay. Whatever. Let's just give it to him. All right. And this is from John Strand saying it's pretty straightforward. Honestly, just a matter of doing your job, Pam Bondi. In response to Mike saying justice is coming, Nick Dank meme says, "We want handcuffs, Mike, and we won't shut up until we see some." Pam Bondi, when evidence against anyone of importance lands on her desk. And this is, of course, from the movie with, God, this woman's sexy, Sandra Bullock, where if you look at these things, I don't know, some kind of evil, and it'll kill you, right? There's birdcage, right? Because the birds always sense them coming. So you can't, you have to like tie yourself to things to make sure you have a zip line to get back and know where you're going, rope marker, right? It's cool, very, very cool movie if you guys have not seen it. There is some sad stuff in it. So if you're one of those sentimental people and you cry when the sad things happen in the movies, good luck. But it is a good movie. And it does end well, by the way. Ah, shit. My bad. Well, actually, technically, that's not true. Laura hates it when I do this. She's like, "You just gave it away, and everybody who didn't watch Birdcage." Well, I mean, it's technically not the case that it ends well by my standards. All right. Anyway, justice is coming. I will say this, and before we go through the rest, I want you guys to think of it like this. During the first Trump administration, the left had TDS, Trump derangement syndrome. TDS has since waned quite a bit in this country, although there are still crazy fanatics. There are just less of them. During the second Trump administration, there's PTSD on the right. So on the left, during the first Trump administration, on the left, there was TDS. During the second Trump administration, on the right, they have PTSD. And what do I mean by that? They're traumatized. They didn't get any justice. In fact, a great injustice was perpetrated on them. And it all ended and culminated with that COVID scam. Them using an epidemic, which was released by Trump's greatest enemy abroad, China. And they used that to change. I want to say change. To abolish verification procedures for mail-in votes and other types of voting all over the country to use what has always been denounced in this country, unsolicited mail-in balloting, widely and all around the country. All right. So there's a TDS on behalf of within the Trump voter ranks. They're traumatized, and every time they see what they think is a sign of that trauma, all right, from the first, something they recognize happened in the first Trump administration, and Trump didn't react to it. He didn't do it. The people around him didn't react to it. They are now traumatized, and they want to see mass accountability. Otherwise, to them, here we go all over again. All right. Mm-hmm. Mike does not appreciate that. And it's not just Mike, the president called Barack Obama a traitor in the White House, in the Oval Office yesterday. He committed treason. He's a traitor. I'm not disagreeing. I actually think, and maybe I'm biased because I am in the world of public opinion, and the sovereignty of the voter is paramount to me. All right. Because they killed the initial and design of the Constitution. The 17th Amendment shit. It's trash. So is the 16th. The whole log rolling deal destroyed what it was, the fabric, like core pillars of republicanism, small r republicanism. So we're left now with this like democratic republicanism. And you have in this version, which is flawed because it vests, and I know a lot of you aren't going to like this, but it vests too much power in the hands of people. Too much power vested in the hands of any one place is bad. That's why our founders believed in the separation of powers. It's why they gave the state legislature the power to pick senators. And by the way, to remove them. You can't do that easily, can you? No. You need to go find billionaire family like the richer Dick, like Dick or Liz Uline to give you millions of dollars. And if Dick and Liz don't buy in to the damn thing you're selling them, you're not getting that money, and that senator's going nowhere. It was way better when you could walk down the road and go, Keith, this guy's a piece of shit. Can we get rid of him? And Keith is just like the local roofer who happened to get elected to the state Senate, and he don't want to hear it. So he's going to go do his job. Otherwise, in church every Sunday, they're going to like lambast him and like beat him into submission until he removes Lindsey Graham or Mitch McConnell, right? Or any of these other scumbags. Lisa Murkowski, she would never be able to survive. Never. She would have been recalled years ago, especially in this political environment. Years ago. It also, by the way, promotes more interest in your local elections, your state legislator elections. Why is that important? Go ask Republican activists in Texas right now who just got the ass again by their own electeds. They will not be redrawing the map the way they thought they were going to be. Not this way, not unless they do something soon, because the Republican rhinos in the state house screwed them. Donald Trump was counting on that, by the way. He was counting on that state redrawing. But I digress again. All right, so Mike doesn't appreciate it. Let's put it up. He doesn't appreciate this. This, like, again, knee-jerk trauma reaction. And can you blame them? He didn't listen on several very important things, and it derailed his entire administration. Justice is coming. We want handcuffs, Mike. We want to see it, blah, 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 blah. This is what Mike says in response to it. What size are your hands?
Very mature.
Very mature. And again, we love Mike. He's a fan of the show. I mean, he's a friend of the show and a fan of the show. But this is tone deaf beyond tone deaf. And it's not just Mike, again, and I know I'm running out of time here. I will just say this because this is the most important thing I wanted to say about all of this. Be careful what you promise people. I personally have told and shown data to Republican congressmen over and over and over and over. DC lawyers over and over and over and over. And I'm not alone. Barnes has done the same thing. The District of Columbia, the jurisdiction, is from judge to juror corrupt. It is ideologically fanatical and broken by ideology. You couldn't, or not you, John Durham couldn't even get some low-level careerists who had some connection. He wasn't, let's be real. This was not the, what is it? The mastermind behind the plot. Which again, I say it's a huge scandal. It is treason. It is. They decided, the corrupt outgoing administration and the administrative state decided that they were going to illegally and fraudulently use police state powers to frame an incoming president because they lost the election. Because their preferred candidate lost the election. And they were going to subvert the agenda of a duly elected president and even try to remove him from office. By the way, when many of us early on tried to tell people that Democrats were, in fact, they had this, was to remove him from office. It was the entire plan. Shut up, trust the plan. Robert Mueller is a good guy. I mean, it's so laughable. I mean, you're laughing because everybody's laughing. This is such a joke. Again, David made a great analogy. It's like sitting on the Titanic and saying, oh, look at it. Would you look at that iceberg? I'm going back to bed. I'm sure the crew sees it. Stupid. So how'd that go? Ask Leonardo DiCaprio. All right, so what's my point here? Republicans already have enough self-inflicted wounds. You are not going to arrest Barack Obama. Stop it. Even if you did, you would never convict Barack Obama. Stop it. A loss in an attempt to do something like that would be so damaging to the country. A loss. Somebody said this on book club on Locals. I couldn't agree with her more. A failure at holding people accountable is worse than not even holding them accountable. I'm saying the outcome, the impact will be like it will demoralize the Republican base for the foreseeable future. That will be and then there's one side of the country is going to completely come to they're going to come to the complete conclusion that this system just does not work for me anymore. I think I'll use violence instead. My own system. That's the way. And I think I'll use my own system now. So I'm not saying don't hold people accountable. I'm saying Republicans have been shown this evidence of this consistently. The data, the history to back up the data, the surveying of these people. I mean, they know all of this and they've done nothing. And they're doing this and promising people this. And John Durham had an ironclad, a smoking gun in his prosecution. Not guilty. Not guilty. Be careful. And I'm not saying don't do anything. I'm saying don't do what you've done in the past because that's not going to work. It's not going to work and it's going to blow up in your face so badly. And I had somebody tell me, oh, this could be good. I bet you they're waiting for the midterms, Rich. You just don't understand. Trust the plan. They want a not guilty verdict before the midterms. So people will be pissed and vote. Oh my God. That's one of the dumbest things I've ever heard in my life. You act like you have another 3 cycles to off. You don't. It's too, you're out of time. Get it done or don't. Because the next time they get power, you're all going to jail. We're all going to jail. Everybody, including the pollster probably, who just called an election correctly. How effing dare you, man? Lock them up. And by the way, the anonymous people who attack people like Jack and Steve and others, they'll just get to put their shit down and try to disappear. You know, the grifters are the ones who really expose themselves and are in real and have been in real danger for years. That makes me sick. The truth is, Laura, the truth is, and it was great. I was on Talk of the Town earlier this morning, as you know. It's a very popular morning show in North Carolina. And I was really rather surprised because the lead host is not a huge Trump guy. Of course, he supports Donald Trump now, but definitely not. I don't think he'd even call himself MAGA, right? Like, but a Republican. You're very, very much a traditional Southern Republican, or like, that kind of like conservative. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Yeah. I'm just gonna leave it at that. All right. And that is the point. The point that Laura just made is the point you brought up. Like, he's like, I get it all the time. And I'm sure you're getting it now. He's like, do you want someone to tell you everything is okay when it's not? Like, what value does that have? And then all to what? Like, there's this, the reason why this is such a problem this time is that there will be no looking back next time. Like, there isn't. That's done. It's over. That happened already. You're not going to get another chance. You're not. And these other voters, they're not going to give you another chance. And by the time you even can conceive of a way to make a plan and come back, Democrats are going to bury you. Throw away the key. Bury you all alive. There will be no next time. All right. For myriad reasons. All right. Yep. I know. And maybe, I don't know. Maybe, I don't know, Nathan. Maybe I will, people are trolls because they don't want to hear it, but it is what it is. If they want someone to pat them on the ass and tell them everything's okay, and give them a bottle of milk and, tuck them in before bedtime, then they're in the wrong place, because that's not what we do over here. All right. It's 3:15. I'll let you guys go. But don't forget, if you like the videos, to like them and support them far and wide. Just remember, when you see these polls, even though they may be absurd, it doesn't mean that the trend isn't real. So what I would suggest is that you do what I just did. It doesn't take very long at all. Go back and see with that particular group, how effective was that pollster in even identifying that trend to begin with? Are they qualified to make these claims, or to be, because that Twitter account that shared the CBS go, we all know who we're talking about. That is some left-wing nutcase, man. Left-wing nutcase. I mean, he acts like he's like an aggregate, an X account, was formerly Twitter, X account that aggregates polls and puts out useful polling information. It's a load of horse shit. The guy is a crazy lefty. So, of course, he grabbed that poll, just like he grabbed the Quinnipiac poll, and he dumped it out there because that's what he wants to do. That's what he's going to do, to make it look like it is worse than it is. But it doesn't mean that it's not bad. It doesn't mean that it's not bad. And by the way, the nerve of some people making fun of others like Charlie Kirk. Nobody knows how young MAGA feels better than, very few people know anyway, better than someone like Charlie, who's got to deal with them all the time. His organization is responsible for getting some of them to vote for the first time. You know better? How many organizations did you use to deliver battleground states? Kidding me? And this guy's so arrogant. I saw on Twitter the other, when you pull the last 3 presidential elections in a row within 0.2%, you could be arrogant too.
Not arrogant, you're right. Sorry.
It's not even arrogance. It's just right. It's just right. I just do tend to find like the stupidity of other people kind of humorous. I do. And that does come across as arrogance. It does. And I get that. And I don't care.
Well, don't be stupid.
Yeah, don't be stupid, and you won't have to see that smirk. All right?
Has data to back them up.
Yeah, don't be stupid, and you won't have to see the smirk. All right, there was something else. Ozzy died yesterday. That sucks. That blows. On the interview with Mark Robert, this is your life, Charlie Brown. I don't know how we missed Ozzy when we're talking about music, and especially as guitarists. Randy Rhoads was just a legend and a master. Never did get to see him, though. Did see 2 Ozfests. One was with Zach Wilde. The other one was Joe Holmes. And, working class kid. I don't even know how the hell I'm sure I do. Now I got in that. Even from the faraway seats from us pile folk, you could see the bullseye on Zach Wild's signature Les Paul bullseye. Beautiful. That was great. On that road to nowhere, I will never forget how awesome that performance was. That was incredible. Waited till nighttime too. So of course we didn't have cell phones back then, youngsters. Okay, whippersnappers. We had little things called lighters because everybody smoked something. Lighters in the air. Incredible performance. And even Joe Holmes, I remember like being like, oh my God, this guy's got huge shoes to fill. I don't even know who he is. This, God bless him. Good luck to him. And he crushed it. He did great. Was he Zach Wild? No. Was he Randy Rhoads? No. He was Joe Holmes. And he did it. And he did it well. What else? I think that's it. But if it's not, I will let you know on Locals, where is the best place, of course, to follow us. Whoop, whoop. Peoplespundit.locals.com, peoplespundit.locals.com. All right, thanks to 1775 Coffee, as always. The link is in the description. Go check out that. I think you would really love the Rejuvenate blend. It's basically, I like the dark roast, though, but it's still Arabia coffee. It is, I know, but the Rejuvenate, at least, it does something. It's got, yeah, it does something. CAAKG, and being that I have to limit my coffee intake, it works for me. It's delicious. You guys will love it. I know you will. And of course, give us your feedback on what you think. The link to the public polling project is below. For those of you who have supported it, thank you. And I very much appreciate, we all do, very much appreciate it in the country. Should I yank her in the camera? Get over here.
That's not Locals.
No, it's not. It's everybody. No, it's everybody. All right. I hope you guys have a great rest of the way. We're through the halfway point. It's Wednesday, hump day. We're in the halfway point for the week. All right. Try to enjoy it. Don't work too hard. All right. Enjoy it. Take a smell of the roses. Summer's almost over. Kids are almost back in school.
Sit in the sun for
15 minutes. Enjoy the world. Breathe in.
Stick the piggies in the grass.
Breathe out. Stick the piggies in the grass. Make contact with the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Barefooted.
Piggies are barefoot. Piggies are barefoot.
Mm-hmm.
Pound, pound. All right. None but love for you all. See you soon. Thanks for watching. Deuces. Muscle milk. This is easier on me because it doesn't have all that extra garbage in it.
It was just like peach. Wait.
Let's go have some lunch. Bye, guys.